everyone, welcome back. It's the weekend in October when the clocks go back and signalling the beginning of the real winter season, dark evenings, dark afternoons here in the UK, and it's already got a lot colder, hasn't it? I think this is a good time of the year to just take a little check in with ourselves again, see how we're feeling, how we're doing, how we can continue to nourish our well-being as we go into cold weather, a time of year that some people struggle with the lack of light. I know I can find that difficult at times. And it's just a good time to, check in with ourselves, really, isn't it? That can never hurt. So for me, as I've sort of said to you before, a big part of my sort of health and wellness focus is obviously eating nourishing foods, moving my body, but it's about my mind, my how I'm filling my time, and about purpose. Found myself age 52. I'm almost 53 in November. Sometimes lacking purpose, thinking, where am I going? My direction in life has changed somewhat. So I think that this is a nice time of year to relook at where we're at. And as I discussed with you last Saturday, I'm trying to open myself back up to my more creative side. And that sort of goes hand in hand with this challenge I've been working on this month of trying to use my phone less, which I'll give you an update on next week. It's been a rocky road, quite frankly. But, I'm sort of looking forwards to the next few years. As you know, it's been a bit of a journey for me and my husband the last few years with his health, but he is on a better path now. He's getting quite a bit better, although he will continue to have issues for the rest of his life, but he is a lot better than he was. And, I don't want to spend the next few years in the same state as I've been, where, a lot of it was focused around his health. And I want to expand myself back out again and not be quite so shut down, maybe. I've made these big strides in my physical health, which are making me feel so much better. But I've lost a part of myself, that creative side. And it's not that the creativity's gone, it's just that the mood to create, the impetus, the energy has gone a bit. And that's menopause, that's age, that's situation, everything. So anyway, I'm trying to work on that. Using the phone less is part of that equation, because obviously if you're just doom scrolling all the time, you're not doing anything more useful. It depresses me, quite frankly. It makes me feel more depressed. And the more depressed I feel, the more I just want to look at the phone and numb myself. And it's a vicious circle. And I'm trying really hard to break that. So last Saturday, I took myself out on a nice arty day out on my own. And this week I've been up to a couple of things as well, which are really have really helped to, feed that side of me, the creative, the spiritual well-being, and, looking at our holistic well-being as a whole, our whole mind, body and soul. So let me tell you what I've been up to. So the quicker sort of thing that I've been up to this week was yesterday. I went out on another art day out with my friend. I mean, I do this a lot, but it's just that when I go out on these days out, I feel really inspired, and then I do nothing with it when I come back. But anyway, we went to the Anselm Kiefer Van Gogh exhibition at the Royal Academy in London, which was fantastic. I had been wanting to go to see it since it opened in the summer, and I didn't realise suddenly it was almost finished. So we booked tickets and went to that, and it was really good. Anselm Kiefer is one of my favourite artists. His works, he does these monumentally huge, textured sort of paintings that they're paint, but he incorporates natural materials into the canvas as well. Anyway, it's fantastic. And a day out with a friend is always a nourishing, health-giving, energy-giving experience, isn't it? Anyway, the thing I wanted to talk to you about more was I went on a rather strange workshop in the week, which another friend had suggested. She went to it. It was local to us. It was a new moon quantum energy manifestation workshop. I mean, who knows what that is? But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was essentially a little couple of hour workshop run by a lady who sort of does healing and just tarot cards and all sorts of stuff like that in a local space that does yoga and classes in that sort of field. And what it was centered around was manifestation. We made a vision board essentially. I don't know if you've ever made one of them. And what we did was we started with a sort of setting of intentions. What did we want to focus on? I can't say I honestly understood everything, the whole concept necessarily of quantum energy, but I think what it boils down to is that we are all, humans, plants, materials, the air, we're all one, we're all joined, we're all, atoms vibrating on a quantum energy level, and what you put out, you can get back. Some people very much believe in visualization and manifestation. I do believe in it. I think that it is a fact, apparently, the lady told us, that, the reaction you have in your brain to what you imagine is the same as if you actually saw it. And I do believe that you put out good thoughts, you can get good back. And, we all know when we pick up on bad vibes. And I think that, I think there's something to it, is what I'm saying. And they also say, that what you pay, there is a saying, and I can't for the life of me remember it, but what you focus on is what you create, what you focus on. It's like if you start to say, oh, I want to own a red Porsche, you start seeing red Porsches everywhere, that sort of thing. So I don't know if it is that we manifest things for ourselves by visualizing them and by putting that thought into the universe, or if it's just that we are more open to receiving the things because we're focusing on them. Either way, I think it's incredibly helpful to focus your energies, focus your attention, focus your mind, and to allow yourself time to think about what it is you want. So what she invited us all to do was to just take a sort of a small, short meditative moment. It was just a small group of us, and we sort of thought about our intentions, and it was focused around the new moon being a really good time for setting intentions. I'm quite in touch with the moon. I like a bit of that sort of woo-woo stuff, if I'm honest. I'm an avid moon and star watcher. I like that sort of thing. Anyway, so we sort of set our intentions about what we wanted to maybe bring into our lives. And then she sort of shared a little bit about, the new moon and the intentions and putting thoughts out into the world. And what we had was some piles of magazines and also some sort of inspirational quotes and some inspirational words which were printed out. And she just invited us to look through all of these and search out images that spoke to us, that either resonated with what we wanted to manifest and focus our energies on, or even that just didn't even align necessarily with what we were thinking about, but that just really we were drawn to, and see where that took us. And it was good fun. And, it was all women, as you can imagine. Those sorts of things tend to be mostly ladies go to them. But, not to say there might not be men at some of them. And everyone had very different ideas about what they wanted to bring into their lives. My friend that I went with is currently in the process of moving, and she's been wanting to move for a long time, and hers was about she hasn't found a new home yet, so hers was about bringing that in and what she wanted to manifest for the next stage of her life. And for me, mine was very much about finding the courage, the creativity, the time and the confidence to get back into my artistic practice. As I've said, this is something I've lost along the way. And I think it's been a combination of Stuart being very unwell and a lot of my energy is going to that, and menopause, quite frankly. And being stuck at home, I work from home and all that sort of stuff, missing that stimulation. When I used to run my jewellery business, as a quick aside, I was out all the time interacting with customers and things, and going to events and going to trade shows and stuff like that. And I met a lot of people, and that energy sort of begets energy, especially for me. I need to move, I need to keep moving, I need to keep interacting with people. I feed off that, even though I like my alone time. And anyway, so I need to get back into that. And for me, and I'm sure for that's not just me, for a lot of people, it's making that first step, isn't it? If you start to do something, you inevitably do a bit more of it. So when people say about exercising, if you just go for if you say I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk, often you'll do a 10-minute walk. So I want to get back into being artistic. I love painting. I've always painted and crafted, but I particularly want to pick up my painting again. It's such a free artistic outlet for me. Crafting I love. Crafting is free, but it's also, it can be more controlled. Whereas when I paint, I tend to paint abstracts, or sort of abstract expressionism style, and that is for me such a way to translate my emotions, my feelings. And it's always just been a private thing. I'm not a professional. I have sold 1 or 2 pieces in the past, not for a lot of money, but I've never exhibited my work or anything like that. And that's something I would consider that I might like to do in the future if I could. I know a lot of people that do take part in just really small local exhibitions, little groups of artists, they do a little joint show, and I would love to do that. I've lost some of that confidence about stepping into that arena. And I think I've lost the confidence to put the paintbrush to canvas, that it's almost like I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so flooded with thoughts and ideas that I can't corral them into something. And that's, again, where the phone addiction is causing me problems. I'm too stimulated to focus my ideas. So anyway, what I did was I collected some arty sort of images that really spoke to me, some inspirational words. I'm not going to share my board with you because it's really personal, but some of the phrases that I put on it were, these were printed out, and from the selection she gave us was, everything you can imagine is real, which is from Picasso. You are the artist of your life. Don't give the paintbrush to anyone else. This was particularly touched me. The moment you decide you're worthy, everything shifts. I think that's a lot of it, isn't it? It's deciding you're worthy and that you can do it, and you are in charge of you. I say that so often, and yet it's hard to accept sometimes for ourselves. The universe is always working for you, even when it looks like it's not. Well, and then I also put the word fearless, own your light, confidence, and authentic. And one other little phrase I actually found in a magazine was dancing to your own beat. I think I've always try and fit in, I try and belong. But when I put myself out on a limb and I own my own authentic self and my own ideas, I've been successful with them. And I feel jealous of people that are so confident about their own thoughts and ideas, but I can do it too. I need to make a practice of doing that so it becomes more ingrained. So I ended up with a board filled with images that I'm trying to look at every day. And actually I have been, another thing that I've been struggling with, that I've been working on over the last few weeks actually, is and again, this comes right back full circle to the phone use and all that stuff and being overstimulated. I'm undernourished but overstimulated mentally, if you know what I mean. And what I find I do is that I start to do something and I can't do it for long. So what I've been working on is just some craft projects for Christmas. And I've just been picking at them, because normally I get like, oh, I need to finish this in one session. And actually it's really good for me to slow down and pick at something. So you might have seen this rather weird thing in the background here. So I've been doing a bit of crafting prior to getting the old canvases out again for Christmas. And I'd seen this image on Pinterest of 3 crowns, and they were decorated they had things around them like candles and bits of ivy and stuff. They like the Three Kings. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to make some crowns out of, well, this is cardboard, paper mache. I've stuck on some beads and things and then covered it in more like kitchen towel, paper mache stuff and painted it. I thought it was quite cute. So I've made another 2 different styles, which are still sort of halfway made. They're drying, they're nearly finished. I'll show you them when they're all finished. And what I'm planning to do is try and make some sort of arrangement maybe on my mantelpiece where I maybe put some holly and ivy around them and some candles. I've actually made some paper mache candles as well. I'll show you the lot when it's finished. But it's been quite good fun to pick away at something, you know, with no agenda, no sort of deadline, no rules, very free. And it's helped me. Something else funny that I've been doing in a way to try and calm the mind, allow myself to sit with a project for a while, is I bought a couple of jigsaws from the charity shop. Christmas themed, because you know I love Christmas. Anyway, we've got this one out at the minute. Stuart's been having a pick at it as well, a little pick away. I haven't done a jigsaw for years, like probably since, I haven't properly done a jigsaw since I was a child, I would say. I bought a 1,000-piece jigsaw. I thought, well, surely that's like beginner adult level. My God, it's a lot of pieces. It's been sitting on the table for days, and I would say it's only about 2/3 finished, if that, and Stuart's done a lot of that. But anyway, these are all things where I'm trying to train my mind to slow down. What I'll do next week is I'll give you an update on how the phone's going. I'm also, with the phone and sleeping, I've added a few things in new little tweaks that I'm making to how I deal with calming down more, because all of these things are going to help me relax, open myself back up to my creativity and allow myself to sit in an artistic space, a craft space, and actually work on something for longer. This is all, I think it's so important because, you know, as I say, I feel like I'm on track. You know, I check in with myself all the time about my physical health, you know, what I'm eating, how I'm nourishing myself, whether I'm, you know, and I'm really pleased with how that is. My activity is going really well at the gym. I could probably do a bit more cardio around and about, a bit more walking, but you know, that I do as much as I can, and I'm trying to put a bit more in. But certainly my weight training is going really well. I'm seeing improvements. It's just this new facet that I want to unlock, and I think that's what I try and say all the time, that this is all a journey, and you can't always unlock all of those things at once. You know, it took me a good long time to work on my eating, to get that sorted and under control, and thank goodness it's still under control, and it's not even under control, it just is a new me. And I think there's never an end to this. We can always open up new facets of ourselves. We can always address things that we've been struggling with. There's always something to improve. There's always something to start working on. It's not even that you've worked on it and you need to improve it. There's things that you've never worked on. So yeah, and I think that, you know, we're settling in, as I say, now to the winter, more time indoors. So a great time for me to be doing something creative and crafty and arty, because I, you know, won't be going out and about as much in the cold. Yeah, so I'll let you know how I get on. I'll give you an update in the week as well of my October challenge, which was all around practicing my French and getting off the phone. Yeah, and I mean, basically just want to finish by saying I hope you are all well. I hope whatever you're working on for your health, your wellness, your energy, your purpose is going well, or that you can maybe just take a short moment to check in with yourself, see how you're doing, prepare yourself for the coming colder, darker season. What might you need to put in place to make that easier for you? And in the meantime, if you'd consider subscribing, that would be fantastic. Maybe give me a thumbs up. And yeah, I'll be back in the week. Take care.